Hello again, I am back from just filming my review of Shocking Dark. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it because there's a really good lead-in to this review, The Changeling. I'm kidding, it's terrible. Anyways, The Changeling, it is released on Blu-ray from Severin Films. If you haven't seen The Changeling, this one, not the, what's her name? Jesus, I'm terrible at names. What's her name? Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. She did a movie, I believe, called Changeling as well. The Changeling is, if you don't know what a changeling is, there's actually a couple different kind of descriptions for what a changeling is. Sometimes the myth of a changeling could be a forest-dwelling creature that kidnaps your child and then takes on the appearance of your child and pretends to be that child. There's also like a more proper kind of non-mythological description of changeling where it's just basically you're swapping and taking over a person's place, which does tie into the movie. Like, I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, it's an older film, but, you know, the enjoyment is watching the movie and seeing the plot unfold, because that's what The Changeling is. It is a haunted house story, but it also has a very intriguing and, like, it engrosses you into this investigative story about why the house is haunted. George C. Scott plays the main character, whose wife and daughter are killed at the beginning of the film. It happens immediately at the beginning. And that kind of leads into him kind of moving on with his life, moving in and renting this giant mansion, which was actually shot in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Proud Canadian. And he moves into that house, and then it's not too long until he starts hearing some banging upstairs at 6 a.m. He starts hearing voices. He kind of does some investigation with the girl that kind of rented him out the house. She works for the Historical Society. And then he holds this seance, which is just, the seance scene is amazing. It is a frightening, there is some really good goosebump-inducing moments in this film. The wheelchair, most people would probably maybe find it kind of funny now, but I don't know, I still find it very scary. So he investigates why this ghost is haunting him, and that's what's kind of cool, like, because he discovers all this, and he discovers all the back history of the house and the people that lived in it and stuff like that. So I don't want to spoil anything, but The Changeling, if you love haunted, like, ghost stories, this is definitely like one of the top tier films you need to see. And a lot of it is because George C. Scott is an amazing actor. He's just an absolutely amazing actor. I watch him. You watch him in the film, and it's just all these small things that he does. Like, he'll just, like, he wakes up from a nap and he's cold and he just shivers, and, like, you know, like, and it's probably not something the director told him to do. It's just something he naturally does, and he just makes his character seem real. That's what's cool about George C. Scott. That's basically why Exorcist 3 is actually a good film, is because of George C. Scott. Which, if you haven't seen, I believe I did review it. I think I did a written review on Mind of Tatlock, or I think Ryan also did it on Cultsploitation as well. Scream Factory released a really good Blu-ray of it. So, that is the premise of The Changeling. You already know, I love it. It's an amazing haunted house story. You definitely need to see it. It was released in 1980. It is directed by Peter Medak. He did, what was the other film? He did another film which I don't think was supposed to be good. Let me bring up my phone here real quick. If this takes too long, I'll speed it up. But yeah, Peter Medak. I'm trying to think of the, oh yeah, Species 2. Species 2. Also, another review I have done for Mind of Tatlock, and Ryan has done as well because Scream Factory released it. So Peter Medak, the music in it is done by Rick Wilkins. I believe Severin has released a CD as well. You can get a limited edition of this, and they released a CD because the music in this movie is spectacular. It's engrossing. It's heartbreaking. It's amazing. It's all kind of like piano, orchestra-driven type music, and it can be frightening at times as well. But one thing I want to talk about. I'll get to the video quality. I'll get to that. But one thing I want to talk about is the audio. The audio is presented in Dolby Digital 5.1, but it's also presented in 2.0 stereo, in German, Italian, and Spanish, and English, of course. if you're going to listen in 5.1, know that this original release of this Severin Films has an issue with the soundtrack. You are missing audio bits here and there. Mainly near the end of the film, I noticed there's a lot of audio. It's just like a certain track is missing from the 5.1. It's like ghost whisperings, bangings, someone talking and stuff. And if you turn on the subtitles, which Severin included on this release, you'll actually see the dialogue at the bottom, but on the screen, you're not hearing anything. Severin Films has released, they've done a recall. If you've bought the original release and have the issue, you can definitely contact them. They'll send you out a newer copy that has it all fixed. I personally at first was like, whatever, it can't be that bad. But when I watched the 5.1 track, I was like, wow, it really is noticeable. And then I switched over to 2.0 stereo, which does not have the issue. So much louder. Like the stereo was so much better quality. So honestly, if I was going to watch the movie again, I would just watch it in stereo. That's why the recall for me, it doesn't bother me so much because I'll probably never watch it in 5.1 again, but I'll watch it in stereo. So there is that, just a word of warning. I believe there was also a recall in CD. I'm not sure about what the issue was with the CD. Sure, it was something. So the video quality is really well done. I don't see any kind of, I'm just trying to see here. Classic horror in HD for the first time ever in America. So it's been released by, I don't know if it was Second Sight or something overseas. It's been released on HD, but I think it's the same transfer on this one. Really well done transfer. It's a little bit of dirt and debris at times, a little bit of, it's grainy, but hey, it's an older film. It's 1980. It kind of lends to the eerie atmosphere. I mentioned the audio, it's special features. We have an audio commentary with the director and the producer. It's moderated by Severin Films' David Gregory. The house on Chessman Park is the haunting true story of the Changeling. So the original film was actually going to be called The House on Chessman Park. Chessman Park, there's some history with buying the land and everything like that and who owned it. It's kind of based on a true story, but I don't know how much. There's the music of the Changeling, an interview with the music arranger, building the House of Horror. So it's really cool. So they built this fake facade on the front of this mansion in Vancouver. And then when they enter in through the doors, they're on a set. So everything you see inside the house is actually a set. And they talk about how they built it on wheels. So when they turn angles, they can kind of easily move things out of the way and stuff like that. So it was really cool. So they kind of go into building the house in that interview. The Psychotronic Tourist is the Changeling. That was just visiting all the different filming locations, kind of in Seattle and Vancouver. And then we have Master of Horror, Mick Garris, on the Changeling. He kind of talks about working with the director on his Master of Horror series because he did, Peter Madak did what was it, The Washingtonians, I believe. And then we have a poster and still gallery, radio spots and TV spot, and a trailer. So that rounds out the Changeling on Blu-ray from Severin Films. Woo, there we go. And once again, there is no alternate cover, but if you do buy the limited edition, which I think might still be available, you can get this really sweet slipcover with kind of embossed like feeling to it. And they probably have everything corrected on the recall. So that is definitely a recommend for sure. So that is it. Those are two releases. First video was for The Shocking Dark, and then this video is for The Changeling. Both fantastic releases. Maybe not so great of a movie, Shocking Dark, but Severin Films, once again, hits it out of the ballpark. Yes, there is a recall for The Changeling, but they were quick on it. They corrected it. They fixed it. Shut the fuck up and just buy it.